Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the Cycling Day X channel covering the Vuelta Andalucia, and here was the final stage, the fifth stage of the centenary edition of the race. As the teams were getting prepared, we had the Uruguayan Thomas Silva still in the Mountains jersey and Alexander Kristoff, their stage 3 winner, and Uno X still had a mission to try and maintain that jersey from Andreas Leknesson. And Tom Pidcock was also someone we were all looking at if he was going to try and challenge the other riders in the general classification and potentially get his second stage race win. But it was this man here, Pavel Sivakov, who was in the hot seat at the moment. Nevertheless, the riders took to the start, and of course we had the yellow jersey at the front and they got underway. But the stage that they were going to be doing was 168 kilometers in total and a fairly heavy parcours in terms of the first 2/3, but then towards the last section of the stage, not so challenging. So the race got underway and there were plenty of riders eager to get in the breakaway early on, including Andreas Leknesson, who wanted to sweep up some points, and Jaco Ayula as well. And before long, with 66.5 kilometers to go, we had a group that contained the likes of Johannes Stoute-Mietent, who was sitting 2 minutes and 43 seconds down in GC, Nicolas Prudhomme as well in 10th place, and even the 11th place rider as well. This group had 2 minutes and 7 seconds of an advantage, but a couple of kilometers later, we could see the group that was chasing them, that included the likes of Andreas Leknesson, Paul Dobbel, Axel Laurens, and Omar Friele as well. Tom Pidcock was sitting third in GC, 26 seconds down, and he didn't look like he was too eager to try and do any attacks. With 57.3 kilometers, the lead was 1 minute and 45 seconds for the riders out in front. They were pushing hard. They knew that there could potentially be another victory up here for the breakaway as we had on stage 4. And it didn't look like this group was going to get caught, as there were so many big riders in here looking to really push the pace. 51.7 kilometers, it was 1 minute and 34 seconds, so not going down too heavily, and they seem to be working still very well together. However, then with 40 kilometers to go, Tobias Halle Johannessen, a former winner of the Tour de l'Avenir, who attacked off the front, and with 36 kilometers to go, the lead was still 1 minute and 37 seconds. Behind now, the riders were starting to miss turns. They weren't committing as much, and in the peloton group, we still have Pavel Sivakov riding fairly easily and not under any threat in terms of that win, because they were keeping it inside a margin that wouldn't trouble him in terms of the best rider sitting in the break of Johannes Stoute-Mietent in GC. With 21.4 kilometers, the gap was 1 minute and 26 seconds. Tobias Halle Johannessen tried once more to get up the road to see if he could force a break and potentially dilute this group into a more select bunch of riders. And he was really dragging out some riders here, with Omar Friele up there as well. This move from Tobias Halle Johannessen really stretched out the bunch in the breakaway group, and some of the riders were really fighting to stay on. A small selection was made towards the front. We had 5 riders up here, and this was a more manageable situation for any of these riders to try and take the win. We had 2 Norwegians in there. We had a Unibet rider as well, who's struggling a bit to hold on this part of the road, but 15.9 kilometers, and they built up a gap of 21 seconds. And behind, it looked like none of them were really wanting to work together. They were looking around, and the bunch were not far behind, to say the least. But inside the last 10 kilometers, the gap to the field was 1 minute and 47 seconds. They had a 46 seconds gap to the second group on the road, and there were 6 riders in total. And a kilometer later, they increased their margin by 10 more seconds, and we could see the beautiful coastline as well. Towards here was where we were going to finish. And the riders, they were feeling fairly comfortable now. 7.7 kilometers, 55 seconds. That looked like it could favor them if they weren't looking around too much. Which one of these 6 riders was going to win? That was the big question here. But moments later, it looked like 2 of the riders took themselves out of contention. And that was Euskaltel-Euskadi rider and the Total Energies rider, as they crashed into each other when we came around the corner. We could see here in the replay that the Euskaltel-Euskadi rider was the one who took out both riders. And unfortunately, it was a shame that this was how they were going to lose it. Nevertheless, the front group diluted down to 3 riders with 5 kilometers to go. They had a 1 minute margin over the second group and 1 minute and 21 seconds to the peloton, who was starting to speed up as well. And with 4.3 kilometers, Tobias Halle Johannessen was getting a bit angry at his countryman Stoute-Mietent not pulling his turns. All the riders had something to gain. Stoute-Mietent had GC seconds to gain as well. He flicked the elbow quite quickly when he got to the front, and Tobias Halle Johannesson was getting annoyed at the lack of work, so he was trying to get up the road, but that was brought back. Behind, we could see Ineos Grenadiers. They were really working hard to bring back these riders. They knew that there was a threat in the GC. Pavel Sivakov and UAE Team Emirates looked a bit unbothered by this. Q36.5 were even committing to this chase as well. With 2.9 kilometers to go, the riders were starting to look at each other up front, not choosing to commit fully in this work rate, and it looked like potentially the stage could be lost. Johannes Stouten-Mietent, he was distanced by the two other riders, and now it was one Norwegian versus the Spanish rider for the stage victory. This was going to be quite interesting to say the least, but Tobias Halle Johannesson, he knew that he potentially didn't have the better sprint of the two, so he was getting a bit wary. But under 1 kilometer to go, and they had 45 seconds to play with. Stouten-Mietent, he did get back to them, and he was starting to lead out the front. He was the one who had most to gain in terms of the GC. There was a lot of looking around here, and this cost them vital seconds in the sprint. The two Norwegians looked around. The Spanish rider came around. The Movistar rider eager to get a stage win. Tobias Halle Johannesson tried to respond, tried everything, felt like he got impeded, got a bit annoyed at the Movistar rider, but the win belongs to John Baranetza. Took the victory comfortably. Tobias Halle Johannesson a bit disgruntled, and Stouten-Mietent getting third place, with a Unibet rider as well getting fourth, so a good result to hang on there. From the peloton, we got Jaco Ayula opening it up with Ineos Grenadiers as well. They were trying to get the minor positions. Maxime Van Heels was in there as well. He was looking to defend his points jersey and looked like he did get the minor positions there, but they were about 33 seconds behind, so what could have been for the peloton there. What a shame. But the peloton's grievance was the joy of Movistar as they took the victory here, and what a big victory that is for them to seal in a Spanish race as well. That would mean a lot for them, and all this of course meant that this man here of UAE Team Emirates, Pavel Sivakov, was looking to take that victory home. That victory was a solid sprint towards the finish. Two Norwegians a bit disgruntled, but it did mean that he took the victory. John Baranetza of Movistar in front of Tobias Halle Johannesson. Stouten-Mietent in third place. Giovanni Carboni was the man for Unibet in fourth place. And Maxime Van Heels was the man who came home first for the peloton in sixth place. Ben Turner was Ineos Grenadiers rider, eighth place. Anas Fowler and Oliver Nassen in ninth place. And Tom Pidcock was in 10th place. So what that meant was that Thomas Silva, he took the Mountains jersey for Cara Royal. And then we also had Uno X winning the breakaway climbers jersey. And Maxime Van Heels was the man who took the points classification home as well. So Red Bull Bora-Hansgrohe are not leaving this race without a jersey. And Marc Soler was the man who was the best Spanish rider. Decathlon AG2R, having a couple of riders up there in GC, were the best team overall in front of UAE Team Emirates. Nevertheless, in terms of the GC, for the overall Vuelta a España 2025, Pavel Sivakov takes the victory 23 seconds ahead of Tom Pidcock, in front of Clément Bertin in third place. Maxime Van Heels in fourth place, 56 seconds down. Tim Wellens in fifth place. Marc Soler in sixth place. So I don't understand the team classification because three riders from UAE are up here. Nevertheless, Steph Kras in seventh place was the best rider from TotalEnergies. Johannes Stouten-Mietent in eighth place. Marcus Holgaard in ninth place. And Nicolas Prudhomme rounds out the top 10. But what a victory that was for Pavel Sivakov. And Tom Pidcock is rude to think what could have been if he hadn't had that bad day on stage one. Nevertheless, that is basically it for our Vuelta Andalucia coverage of the 2025 edition. Make sure to check out number 1, 2, and 3 in terms of the stage if you haven't already. And of course, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment down below what you thought of this stage race. And of course, as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you around.